And so we'll call on the Minister of Finance, Augustine K. Ndafwa, for welcome remarks and presentation of Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, President of the YEIB.
Your Excellency, Joseph Boakai, President of the Republic of Liberia, the Honorable Speaker of National Legislature, Honorable Richard Nangakoon, and other members of the First Branch present, my esteemed cabinet colleagues, distinguished members of the delegation of President Adesina, members of the diplomatic corps here present, development partners, full vested, one and all. I stand before you here today in my capacity as Minister of Finance and Development Planning of Liberia and Liberia's Governor to the Board of the African Development Bank. I also stand before you here today to present my former boss, as I once served as country manager for the African Development Bank in Uganda. That earlier assignment connected me with extraordinary colleagues, and indeed with an extraordinary leader and a truly visionary boss. Today, we are privileged to honor that friend of us who has shaped lives across our continent. As Minister of Finance, my role places me daily at the intersection of national aspirations and global partnerships. Over the years, I've had the distinct privilege of engaging with many towering figures in development, but few have left as profound and personal an impression on me as our esteemed guest of honor today. Some leaders arrive with blueprints, like Akinwumi Adesina arrives with a force of nature of boundless optimism that is utterly contagious, but a fierce commitment to action. It is this spirit that has earned him the affectionate moniker Africa's optimism chief. This optimism, I believe, is forged not just from intellect, but from deeply personal experiences. Dr. Adesina's journey to become one of Africa's most influential leaders began in humble circumstances. Born on February 6, 1960, in Ibadan, Oyo State, Federal Republic of Nigeria, to a farmer, he grew up in a village where the rhythms of agriculture shaped his worldview. He saw firsthand how the success or failure of crops determined whether children who stayed in school or were pulled out of school. This foundational experience instilled in him a lifelong passion for agriculture as a tool for economic empowerment and poverty reduction. His early education took place at a village school in Oyo State, followed by secondary education in Ijogo Baptist High School. Even as a young student, his brilliance was evident. And by age 14, he had passed enough exams to gain admission to university. Dr. Adesina went on to attend the University of Ife, now the Ubak Family Awolowo University, affectionately called OAU, where he earned a bachelor's degree in agricultural economics with first-class honors in 1981. The first student in the university's history to achieve that distinction. His academic journey continued at Purdue University in the United States, where he earned a master's degree in 1985 and a PhD in agricultural economics in 1988, winning the Outstanding PhD Thesis Award for his research. These formative years, grounded in both rural realities and academic excellence, shaped Dr. Adesina into the visionary leader we celebrate today. Dr. Adesina's philosophy is not new. It is deeply rooted in his extensive background as a development expert and a public servant. Before taking the reins at the African Development Bank, he served with exceptional distinction as Nigeria's Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development from 2010 to 2015. There, he spearheaded bold reforms that transformed food production, introduced transparency into the fertilizer supply chain, and championed agribusiness as a pathway to wealth creation for millions of farmers. This hands-on experience as a government official, seeing challenges and solutions from the ground up, gives him an unparalleled understanding of what it truly takes to drive change and achieve results. His tenure as president of the African Development Bank since 2015 has been nothing short of revolutionary. Under his leadership, the bank's capital grew from 93 billion United States dollars to an outstanding 313 billion United States dollars, cementing its status as one of the world's most robust and impactful development institutions. Today, with his presence, we'll be launching what is called the Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank, meant to give opportunities and empower the young people of this country. In 2018, January precise, Dr. Adesina was given one of Nigeria's highest honors by former President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the honor of the Star of Africa, with a grade of Grand Bank Commander. As the Chinese say, an hour of conversation with a wise man is worth more than 10 years of study in the library. So now, Mr. President, Mr. Speaker, Cabinet Police, I cannot continue to be the checkpoint between you and this wise man. And so it is my distinguished honor to present to you a son of Africa, a son of West Africa, a son of Nigeria, Ibadan, Oyo, and a son of the world, a man of grace and a man of weight, a man of thought and a man of action. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming the President of the African Development Bank, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina.
Thank you very much, Honorable Augustine Garfon, the Minister of Finance and Development and Planning, Government of Liberia, to the African Development Bank Group. And I think you should give it up to him once again because I'm so proud of him. He had a fantastic record here, and when the Excellency Mr. President Boakai called me that he wanted to appoint me as Minister of Finance, it didn't take me half a second to tell the President, that's a fantastic choice. And he said, I said, I approve right now, sir. Your Excellency, Joseph Akinwumi Boakai, Senior President of the Republic of Liberia. Your Excellency, Jeremiah Pang Kun, Vice President of the Republic of Liberia, is not here, but I am a child of protocol. When you're in a country, you have to respect every single person that is in office in that land. Honorable Richard Nabe Kun, Speaker of the House of Representatives, members of the committees of the House of Representatives. In fact, I had seen your photograph, so I knew it was you, but when I looked at it in myself, I thought you were from South Korea. Honorable Iyo Lane Canada Lawrence, President pro tempore of the Liberian Senate, and members of the Senate that may be here. His Honored Chancellor, Yemi Kwiki Bese, Chief Justice Designate, Supreme Court of Liberia, and Associate Justice of the Honorable Court, Supreme Court that may be here today. Her Excellency Sarah Besolo Yanti, Minister of Foreign Affairs, and Dean of the Cabinet, and members of the Cabinet. Of course, I've already said Honorable Augustine Behe Ngafo, Minister of Finance and Development Planning, Government of Liberia, to the African Development Bank Group. My dear sister, Adamamaka Bilati, Minister of State. In fact, she was the one who taught me about you folks here actually liking pepper because she's from a Kru tribe. And she told me that in the Kru tribe, when a child is born, you put pepper in the mouth and you turn your head of the baby upside down. So actually, I was hoping that today, when I should say pepper, she would not be turning my head upside down. Honorable ministers, members of the cabinet, heads of department and agency, members of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I wish to thank Your Excellency, Mr. President, for the honor and the opportunity and the privilege to address you and the esteemed leadership of Liberia gathered here today. It is an even more profound honor that the whole of your government is here. It's such a great opportunity to be here to speak to you all. It's always a great pleasure to be in Liberia and to be in particular in Monrovia, the proud capital of a resilient and friendly people of Liberia. Thank you for always welcoming me with such warmth and wonderful hospitality. And when this was being put together, one of the people who worked on this course was Minister Mamaka and worked with our Rufus. I call him our Rufus, but it's actually your Rufus, Dakota, who is the Executive Director representing you at the African Development Bank, and together with the Minister of Finance. Please thank you for me. He's done a fantastic job. for you at the African Development Bank. I'm proud of him, Mr. President, and you're also very proud of him. I have been to Liberia several times. That's because Liberia holds a very special place in my heart. I visited during the tenure of Her Excellency, my dear big sister, Africa's jewel, I call her, and Nobel Prize laureate, Her Excellency Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the 24th President of Liberia. I am forever grateful to her because she bestowed on me the honor of the Star of Africa with the grade of Grand Band, Liberia's highest distinction on January 15, 2018, and I can't forget that experience. So I actually brought it, so you can actually see it. I was actually going to kind of see whether I could put it on. I think this is the way it works. Like that, right? Yes. Like that. So, Mr. President, now I'm properly dressed. So I decided that I would wear this insignia proudly today. I was present for the inauguration of Her Excellency George Weah on the 25th as the 25th President. And most recently, I was here on January 22nd, 2024 for the inauguration of His Excellency President Boakai as Liberia's 26th President. We are very lucky to have him because in the car coming, he spoke to me about his parcours, they say in French, from very, very low beginning, very poor schools, working weeks to go to school, eventually made it to where he is today. If the president can make it to where he is today, anybody can. Congratulations, sir. Liberia's peaceful transitions of power are a testimony to its democratic strength and as a source of pride for Africa. I would like to commend each and every member of your government and other leaders here today for the various inestimable roles that they serve every single day in advancing Liberia's development, and congratulations to you all. So today, I would like to speak to you, I've been asked actually, to speak to you by His Excellency the President. And so I would like to share with you some of my experiences as President of the African Development Bank. And so I'll be speaking to you today on Liberia, Arise and Shine. I'll be speaking not only as President of the African Development Bank, but I'll be speaking as a proud son of Africa, a believer in Africa, a friend of Liberia and its people. The fundamental thesis for everything that I will tell you today is that God did not make a mistake making me an African. I always say that on the day of resurrection, if I'm allowed to make a request to God, I'd like to come out with an African flag. Thank God, yes, we will. Thank God for that. Liberians are a very unique people. This is a special place. A place where the voice of freedom went forth from Liberia's establishment in 1822 to its independence in 1847. A nation that became the epicenter of hope that inspired independence movements across the country. Yes, it is from here that one of your brilliant sons, Dr. Romeo Fulton, a distinguished economist and an indefatigable banker, and a civil servant of repute, conceived a great idea, the idea of the creation of what became the African Development Bank. What an amazing time we had. And he led a committee of 9 to put together what became today as the African Development Bank. So you can imagine the pride I have today to be in the same country, his own country, to speak to you about the work of the African Development Bank. Mr. President, when you were elected in 2024 as the 26th President of the Republic of Liberia, you set out a very clear mission. It was a solemn mission. You didn't come to live life. You said that day I was in the crowd. Liberia, your mission is to make Liberia a truly bright, shining star, a lone star forever. Yes. Yes, indeed, Liberia must shine. It must shine for its people. It must shine for its neighbors. It must shine for Africa. It must shine for the entire black race with dignity and with honor. It is destined to, and it has a responsibility to. Mr. President, you said in your inauguration speech on Liberia that, I quote, "We have yet to receive economic progress in ways that reflect the country's potential and promise." But then you continue, "I believe our economic conditions can improve when we seize the opportunities we have, and that we will do." Seizing and unlocking these opportunities is what the African Development Bank has been doing in Liberia. Behind the state empowerment. Development. Great people. Put it off a little bit. They were fantastic. I enjoyed it. Since 1967, the African Development Bank has invested over $1.02 billion in Liberia across 72 projects. As of February of 2024, our active portfolio of projects includes 18 projects valued at $397 million, each destined to enhance the quality of life for all Liberians. Just think of the following. In transport, a total of 177 kilometers of road construction were completed under the bank's project in Liberia. This includes 50-kilometer Fishtown Harper Road project, the 16-kilometer Harper Junction to Cavalier Border Road, the 80-kilometer Caloptain to Fishtown Road, as well as the 22-kilometer Saniquelli to Loguantuo. I think I called it right. Under the second phase of the Malo River Union Road Development and Transport Facilitation Program. In the energy sector, the bank has financed a total of 2,434 kilometers of electricity transmission and distribution lines. This includes 1,360 kilometers on the Cote d'Ivoire Liberia-Sierra Leone Guinea interconnection project. The strategic regional integration project involves high voltage transmission lines, enabling Cote d'Ivoire to export 400 megawatts of power to the other countries in the Malo River Union member states of Sierra Leone, Liberia, and Guinea. The African Development Bank financed 280 kilometers of transmission lines under the Liberia Energy Efficiency and Access Project, benefiting the Roberts International Airport and the Playable Fish Town. The African Development Bank provided $29 million to support the construction of a 45-kilometer, 66-kilovolt transmission lines from Painesville to Roberts International Airport. These included the 980 kilometers of transmission network in both Painesville-Owens Grove corridor and the Playable Fish Town corridor. The Liberia Energy Efficiency and Access Project has resulted, Mr. President, in roughly 39,792 new connections to the electricity grid, accessing efficient and reliable supply of power. And power is important. It's just like blood in your body. No economy can develop. No person can live without blood. And no economy can develop without power, because you cannot grow or industrialize in the dark. So electricity is so important. This has allowed us, you, to actually provide electricity for 50 health facilities, 65 academic institutions, 43 public facilities, 250 small businesses in Painesville, Owens Road corridor, and the famous Playable Fish Town corridor, and Liberia's military hospital, which is, the 14th military hospital, including training of over 102 professionals and university graduates. Your Excellency, Mr. President, as the Minister of Finance said, the African Development Bank last year approved $16 million for the establishment of what is called the Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank. And I must say, this is the first of such anywhere in Africa. It will provide support to businesses and ventures of the youth of Liberia, your best asset, because more than 60% of your population is under the age of 35. I am delighted, Your Excellency, Mr. President, that later this afternoon in this program, I'll be joining you for the official launch of the Youth Entrepreneurship Investment Bank. And what a great day. If you're a young person, you've got a family, I can hear you give it up to your president. How impactful. How much hope you will have unleashed. These achievements, Your Excellency, are just the beginning. Even though my time as president of African Development Bank after 2 5-year terms end, this bank is your bank because it was created at the mind of your son. And therefore, this bank will continue to support strongly this country of Liberia, even when my time is done. When my time is done, I will still be there. Since I was elected president of the African Development Bank in 2015, the bank has seen, thanks to my leadership, I have an incredible team of staff, and I have incredible relations and support from all of our shareholders, and including all of the African economies. So, Mr. President, you are at the forefront of that, and I'm grateful, sir, for all of your support for me. Over those 10 years under my leadership, the bank launched what I call the high fives. And they are Light Up and Power Africa, Feed Africa, Industrialize Africa, Integrate Africa, and improve the quality of life of the people of Africa. In fact, when I all started, people thought it was some kind of a high five. You give people and you get along with each other. But it's actually very, very powerful. And I'm glad to tell you that in these 10 years, those high fives have impacted the lives of 565 million people. 128 million people with access to improved health services. 121 million people with access to improved transport. 104 million people with access to improved food and their food secure. 63 million people now have access to potable water. 34 million people now have access to improved sanitation. 28 million people have access to electricity. And of course, Mr. President, let me thank you were there with us at the summit on energy that we had in Dar es Salaam. We are elected country delegation for the development of the energy compact for your country. And I'm glad to say, and I don't know if anybody here from the World Bank, I'm proud of our partnership with the World Bank on the Mission 300, which is to provide an additional 300 million people with access to electricity by 2030. Now let me tell you a little bit about electricity. I was telling His Excellency, Mr. President, gave you a very nice breakfast this morning. And Mr. President, that's of course for Feed Africa, you have to start feeding the president after that. And I was saying to the president that when I went to the United States of America in 1983, it was my first time of actually, you have my background, and or we were traveling on a plane first, or you talk as I'm coming out of Africa. And I went to the United States, and I arrived there. And as soon as I arrived, I took my suitcase out, and I started ironing my clothes. I stayed with one of the families, but I actually volunteered to receive foreign students. I was one of the professors of the university. And I started ironing my clothes. I spent an hour ironing my clothes. And she came and she said, Akin, what are you doing? I said, of course I'm ironing my clothes. Why? You've been there for 1 hour. I said, because, I'm from Nigeria, they can take the electricity off the house. And he said, no, not about it. I said, that was when I realized that I have been living under an abnormality. You cannot get that company number. Everybody, every African must have access to universal electricity. When I was elected president of the bank, the capital of the bank was $93 billion. Today, thanks to our shareholders, the capital of the bank is $318 billion. And we put that capital to tremendous use. Let me give you a context, because I'll be speaking to you today later about how you as ministers can help to bring about transformation change in a short period of time. Because fundamentally, I believe that God has given each one of us talents and opportunities and placed us in particular positions for a particular reason. And He has also given us oxygen that's going to expire. And that oxygen can either be used for a small thing, or it can be used for a big thing. And since the oxygen is going to expire anyway, why use it for a small thing? Use it always for a big thing. Since the establishment of the African Development Bank in 1964, if you take it up to 2014, the total approvals of the bank, of the African Development Bank, was $118 billion. If you look in the last 10 years that I've been president of the bank, working with my team, our total approvals were $102 billion in just 10 years, compared to $118 billion since 1964. That means 46% of all the approvals of the bank in its history was done in just that 10 years. Take a look at disbursement, which is what's important. You can approve, but disbursement matters. In the past 10 years alone, our disbursement has been $59 billion. But here is it. That is almost half of all the disbursements of the African Development Bank since 1964. Done in just a single piece of paper. Today, Africa in just 2 years is now one of Africa's largest private sector-led, private equity fund on infrastructure with a portfolio size of $7 billion in probably about 5 to 6 years. Take the African Investment Forum. I was telling Mr. President. People tell you, well, Africa is not a place. People thought, who's going to come to Africa? Mr. President, there was COVID the last 2 years. But since 2018, minus that of COVID, you know what happened? We mobilized over $225 billion of investment interest of Africa in a very short period of time. And the world is talking about climate change. I led my team at the bank to create what is called the African Adaptation Acceleration Program, with $25 billion to allow African countries to adapt to climate change. Mr. President, today, the African Adaptation Acceleration Program, to do jointly also with the Global Center of Adaptation, is the largest adaptation program in the entire world. Mr. President, one of the other things you will find in government is we have resources. And therefore, one has to be very smart about getting the maximum out of the already when you squeeze it. In other words, you have to optimize the resources. And that's one of the things that I led my team at the African Development Bank to do. We launched what was called the synthetic securitization. We were the first multilateral financial institution in history and in the world to launch the intelligent securitization program. When we started, Mr. President, we launched what is a $750 million hybrid capital, which you get money from the private capital markets and you stack it into your stack, your capital stack, and allows you to leverage more. $750 million, never done before. The African Development Bank was the first multilateral financial institution in the world to do hybrid capital. Mr. President, you remember during COVID, the issue is how we're going to close the financial fiscal deficit that countries have. The African Development Bank, I led the bank to work together with the Inter-American Development Bank, and we worked with the IMF to see how we can take the special growing rights, the SDRs, and how we can turn those SDRs into resources channeled to multilateral development banks that we can leverage up to 8 times. So every single dollar becomes 8 times. So that is, in a world today where there is very limited aid, that is the best way to finance development. Because it means that if you give me $20 billion, you will get $160 billion. Again, that is the power of innovation at the African Development Bank. I have the pleasure, the honor, and the privilege to represent the bank on the global stage. Africa doesn't just need to sit around the table. Africa's voice must be heard. Africa's priorities must be understood, and Africa's interests must be strongly defended. In all that, I have a fantastic group, from my governance of the bank to the staff of the bank, the board of directors who work so hard. Mr. President, despite all the challenges during COVID, despite all the challenges of the ups and downs of global financial markets, we maintain the AAA credit rating of the African Development Bank for 10 years without a single problem. Transparency. I'll come to that when I share lessons with you. The Publish What You Fund, which is a global index of transparency, ranked the African Development Bank as the most transparent financial institution in the world. The index goes from 0 to 100. For 2 years consecutively, the African Development Bank was ranked as the most transparent in the world, and last year we scored 98.8%. You don't get to think of that as an African institution, but that's what we are. Not just an African institution, because I believe that development can only be done with pride. You must earn your respect, nobody gives you. And therefore, I am proud of the fact that we have a world-class financial institution. That's an African institution. We have a fund at the bank that is called the African Development Fund, which is the conceptual financing window of the bank. Our support to Liberia, Mr. President, comes from the African Development Fund. And I'd like to say, Mr. President, there was a ranking of funds, constitutional financing institutions, across all the OECD countries, 55 of them globally. The African Development Fund was ranked as the second best in the entire world. And so as I complete my 2 5-year terms, I know that we are leaving behind a legacy of a world-class financial institution that will continue to advance Africa's position within a rapidly changing global development and geopolitical environments. I would like to now share with you. That's why I told you all of this. I would like to share with you the robust lessons of my experiences as you work together as cabinet members under the leadership and vision of the President on what we call the rescue agenda. And how can you fast track that? Let me repeat this just so you understand fast track. There is only one person in this place that has the social and the political capital of the country invested in him and on the line. That person is President Boakai. Because you entrusted him with faith and confidence. And so the discussion now that I'm turning to is how do we work together? What are the lessons that I have learned to make sure that you can deliver for him and through him for the people of Liberia in a fast-track manner? The time of the president is like this. The needs of the country is like that. How do we bring back to that and forward faster? That is what I'm going to talk to you right now. Firstly, vision is a compass that leads to success. It is impossible to achieve what you have not envisioned. Vision must be compelling and must be a moral call that will wake up and inspire ordinary people to rise up, to seize the moment, and to achieve extraordinary things. Before I was elected president, I told you, I came up with what's called a high five. Now repeat it again. Light, love, and power Africa. Feed Africa. Industrialize Africa. Integrate Africa. And improve the quality of life of the people of Africa. And when I mentioned it, I said, people thought I was just kidding, like a high five. Well, maybe that's what you think. Many people thought that. But it was so powerful, and that the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, did an assessment of those high fives. You know what they found? That if Africa achieved these high fives, it would have achieved 90% of the sustainable development goals. It would have achieved 90% also of Agenda 2063, which is the Africa that we want. So, Mr. President, your vision, which has an acronym called ARREST, A-R-R-E-S-T, agriculture, roads, rule of law, education, sanitation, and tourism. This is a very half package of what we need to do if well implemented. Capital goods, people of Liberia. These 6 areas will drive economic transformation. They will boost rural economies and transport. They will ensure food security. They will lower the cost of transport within Liberia and regionally and allow you to integrate with the rest of the region. They will enhance the development of human capacity to drive innovation and to lead to well-trained labor force. They will improve the quality of life and assure good health for a more productive population. They will support the diversification of the economy so that you're not simply depending on or relying on simply 2 commodities in which your export base is very narrow. Mr. President of the bank are fully aligned with the ARREST agenda. And that is why I said that you can be sure that the African Development Bank will be there beside you, with you, supporting you to translate that ARREST into concrete impact on the ground. The second lesson that I will share with you: demand measurable results. I'll say that again. Say it after me, actually. Demand measurable results. Maybe some people didn't want to have results. It's not loud. Say it after me. I want to hear it. It's a conversation happening. Demand results. To ensure that we can measure the growth of the high fives at the African Development Bank, we have to do a complete overhaul of the entire organization. First, by aligning the organizational structure to the high five agenda. If your structure is not designed or aligned to your vision, it is like a car you are driving in which the driving wheel is there, one tire is going this direction and the other tire is going that direction. And God help you if you're speeding in that kind of car. We created 5 vice presidencies, each responsible for each of these high fives. That means I will hold people accountable for the results at the end. We changed our results and monitoring framework at the bank to be based around these high fives. And so that we can rigorously measure the impact of the high fives, operations at all levels for countries and across the regions. We had bank-wide key performance indicators that we set annually. And every vice presidency, director general, directors, down the line to all professional staff, had to sign performance contracts. And because the high fives were all linked now, there had to be interdependencies between them. And so we have to make sure that the performance contract take into consideration those interdependencies so that we can work as a system to deliver jointly. And this is very important. Minister Ngafran was in my country manager in Uganda. We had to take the sector operations, energy, health, and all of those, and align them with the regional operations and the country operations. So that at the end of the day, every time that I ask for results, everybody is held accountable together in a system. This is very, very important. The third lesson: hold ministers accountable. Now I am speaking to you. Now I'm speaking to you as a former minister. So I'm wearing a different hat now. I was Nigeria's Minister of Agriculture. And so you can imagine how big Nigeria. I had to feed 208 million people. That was my responsibility. There is need to have a change of mindset about what it means to be a minister. Ministers are not small presidents. Let me say it again. Ministers are not small presidents. They gave me a car, they gave me a flag to fly it around my car. But that's not my personal use, that's for the duty of the state. So I was there because the only person that has social and political capital is the president, because the president is elected and a minister is appointed. This is very, very important if you are ever going to really succeed. The primary responsibilities of a minister is to help the president succeed by designing and implementing policies and programs in their respective portfolios to deliver measurable and impactful results. Yeah, make you want to clap your hand. Let me say to you my experience. A job of a minister is like somebody driving or riding a speed train. You have to choose your direction. You have to choose your destination. You have to keep your speed. And you must have this behind your mind. There is no stopping until you get to that destination. There is therefore no reason for any minister to underperform, because a minister reports to the president. Now, sometimes I remember my experience when we were asked to do key performance indicators. We were asked by my president at the time, President Goodluck Jonathan, to work with the Minister of National Planning. I'm sure you've got the same thing here. I hope you do. And when I set my targets, Mr. President, they were so high that it scared the minister. And the minister said, well, if you don't achieve this, that's going to be underperformance and the government will be affected. And then we went to the cabinet meeting. The president finally said, Minister of Agriculture, I think it's important that you bring those numbers down, because what I said was that we were going to produce additional. And so I can understand that they were affected. And when I was asked to bring it down, I politely asked for the floor to give me the support. And I failed to deliver. I will make your job very easy. You find out. I remember the cabinet room was very quiet, because I was the only one that has put my neck on the bulletin alone. But my decision, though risky, set the tone. You see, if you are to lead, you have to take risks. And you will never inspire people when your vision is a Mickey Mouse vision. We worked with my team, and maybe the Q&A I can tell you a little bit about how you do something like that. But we did 21 million metric tons of food, which is above the 20 million which everybody thought was crazy. We did that in 4 years. We reached 15 million farmers with seeds and fertilizers. At the time, seeds and fertilizer was a corrupt. Only 11% of the farmers were getting seeds and fertilizers bought